Hi guys, my name is Boro and welcome back to Outlandish Curiosity. The first quarter of this year is gonna be a big time for finishing stuff that had to be finished a long time ago. So first I dealt with the giant painting of Black Widow, and now I'm gonna finish this even bigger project of a book called Outlandish Curiosity. Now we're at a page 65-66, it's a double spread as most pages go in this book. And yeah, I've been working on this. It felt at first really hard to get back to the project, even though I know there's not a lot of work left. Like, it's about 10 spreads, 20 pages kind of thing left. Most of them are already, like, the compositions are done and colors are placed in, but still it was tough to get back into it. So I decided, since there's no, like, natural inspiration at the moment to kickstart, I decided to just go the opposite way. Just start working. For that, I just turned off music, removed all the stimulations, and started just working on the first thing I didn't like, which was the flower over here. It was a lot simpler. So I looked up a bunch of references in Pinterest. Pinterest is just my thing now. I'm living in it. It's just a better version of image search on Google, where you literally just get stuff recommended one on top of the other that's exactly aimed at someone who's looking for inspiring, fashionable, or just, I don't know, cool, fresh stuff. Really cool. All the artsy images are on Pinterest. So if you've been missing out on it, as I did for the last couple of years, definitely recommend getting back into it. I actually, I had an account for a while. There's a lot of these boards in there where I collected a bunch of stuff like 5 years ago. I don't know why I neglected it. I guess I wasn't really putting a lot of value into reference work. And now I do, so that's really cool. Now a quick word about the Cyberpunk Art and Drawing course on Wingfox by the lecturer Park Jun-kyu that worked on Resident Evil 2 and Cyberpunk 2077. This is the course I'm really excited about because it's aimed at the beginners, so it really covers the whole set of necessary tools and habits to get to that kind of art style, to this kind of look that the lecturer is working with. And I personally find it very useful because it covers a lot of modern styles, not just the cyberpunk style, but also the research of the clothing, the fashion trends and stuff like that, so you really get into something that's gonna be very useful in the future. And right now is a great time to start following the course because literally the next set of videos will be about starting the actual work on the main artwork of the course. So it's getting really interesting right now. As I said, I'm following this course very closely. So if you guys are interested, check out the link in the description. The course is available with a big discount before it's fully released at $69, plus an extra discount code is also available in the video description. Now back to the Outlandish Curiosity. So looked up some, I don't know, alien flowers or whatever. It pretty much just also obviously was inspired by some seaweed and stuff like that. But I sort of made it work as well for this flower right here, made it at least different from all the other flowers that I drew so far, and added these bowls with holes in them. I think I never did that in the book yet, so there you go. That's a new flower. Made sure the geometry doesn't look boring or simple or just, I don't know, broken. So yeah, certain amount of, dynamics, turbulence, and the way things are positioned and whatever. And then one thing I started doing, this whole thing I just did today before I started recording. So yeah, I started adding the rain to the background. And generally, since I'm working in one layer, like all these layers is just copies for stages, so pretty much I'm just working in one layer. Because of that, I always postpone stuff like particles and cobweb hanging around in Black Widow, stuff like that, you should be painting that like as the last set of details. But in this case, it felt like really wrong. First of all, it didn't look like it's storming at all. Like, it's not just that we're missing certain sharp details of actual water drops to be added later. It's about the location just doesn't feel like raining at all. And that was because we are actually having such a clear view at the horizon, which is absolutely unacceptable. And I looked up this reference right here, just as stormy clouds. Also, by the way, really useful to see how they're getting torn a bit, so I'm sort of starting to add that a little bit here and there, working great as well. But the main thing is that next to the horizon, we're actually seeing this giant smooth like blob of just rain falling down. From the distance, it's just like a giant opaque fog. And I realize if we're having like a huge amount of rain, like it's not the heaviest possible rain, but at the horizon, there definitely should be a much stronger, like not just aerial perspective. It should be like pretty much blocked vision. You don't see the horizon when it's like a strong enough rain. So yeah, that's one thing I'm adding for sure, and I'm gonna be working more on it, like probably getting it even a bit stronger. Like it won't be covering this view or something, maybe just a tiny little bit, but generally like in here that needs to be like a stronger situation as well. And in here, like I'll continue this aerial perspective that's going on around this mysterious character. So that's gonna change the picture a lot. It's already doing that and looking really cool. Now a little bit on the subject of the video, what you read in the title, about the brushes. It seems like I'm gonna be continuing painting this with a dry brush. By dry, I mean not a blending one, so this one literally doesn't blend at all, as you can see. Two reasons for that. Number one, it's Krita, and Krita's blending engine is kinda messed up. Well, there are several important tweaks, like sliders in the settings, that pretty much don't change things separately, but actually affect each other. I figured out a little bit of it in the way that like it became sharp and opaque, yet blending kind of not that aggressively. But for that, you literally have to disable opacity control. It should be just at 100 always, and only smudge length it's called. It needs to be really aggressive when you press slightly, because that thing not only makes the blending lower, but also makes the opacity lower. So you don't need to double that with the opacity here. So yeah, I kind of figured it out, and I got now a pretty strong with a different shape of the brush with more transparency spots, like areas in it. It's really transparent, contrary to the previous shape that had a lot of really black areas. This now has a lot of semi-transparent areas that lets in a lot more of the brush texture into the brush stroke. So I'm getting a lot more of that, because the last time I worked on Outlandish Curiosity, I was detailing this page, and you may notice it looks really different from the other pages, much smoother, which is like very different from the rest of the book. I have very aggressive texturized brushwork usually, that like the brushes, like the strokes are very distinctive, like they're sharp and you can see each one of them, with a lot of this crunchy, scruffy texture showing through. This older brushwork right here, that's the way it usually looked. And even when you detail further, it still shows up a lot, but not in this case. So I think I'm gonna have to, like, I don't know, introduce some more of the final touches with this more of an aggressive brush to fix that. So that was cool, but also I just noticed after finishing Black Widow with just this kind of dry opacity brush, or not this one actually, this one, right? This is the type of brush I'm using now, so it's just flow and just flow control. So again, opacity, I'm not touching it. I don't like opacity anymore, anywhere, pretty much. So yeah, it's just that when you press slightly, it's just flow getting more transparent, no layered transparency of the opacity control. And that actually blends really well into the brushwork that I had before, that was the actual blending brush, because blending brushes are also not using opacity, they're only flow. It kind of makes no sense to use opacity when you're blending. So this brush perfectly blends into the whole thing. Whenever I did some kind of, like, I did a lot of brushwork on the clouds, and they feel just right, and they're revealing a lot of the texture of the canvas. So with the opacity brush, it's very easy to control the amount of texture in the brush by, I don't know, tweaking the contrast or whatever. Like, you see it's making it disappear completely from the stroke. And I had a big problem with that before because it just wasn't showing up enough without eating away the brush too much. It was kind of weird. So yeah, now I'm just using this dry brush, and the main reason why I switched to it is actually because after Black Widow, I just realized how much the blending brush is just slowing me down. It's actually a lot easier to blend stuff without the blending. Like this automatic blending, like 10% of the time it will kind of help you with quickly, you know, making a stroke and then like blending it away. And here I can't really blend it away. I'll need to like grab the color and do that a little bit. But thing is, another 90% of the time, I still need to do this, like grab colors even with a blending brush and do all that stuff, because I need more precision in the gradients that I get still, like, and man, when it's a blending brush, you never get the precision. Sometimes you just need to keep the details as they are and then just tweak them a little bit, and this kind of like more of a chalky nature of the like dry flow type of brush is just so much better for just searching the shapes. It just ghosts in such a nice fashion. Really cool. I'm pretty much like rolling back from the recent several years of trying those opacity brushes and blending brushes and just working with the good old flow brush. And it seems to be working the best way so far. If anything changes again, I'll update you on that, of course. But so far, this is it. Just keep in mind, I always change my opinion on that, and that pretty much signifies the fact that you choose your tool, you choose your workflow, you choose the way you make your style work, and I guess I'm just looking for it still. I'm trying to change things, I'm trying to improve it because I don't feel like it's working correctly. It's either too slow or just struggled out too much. And it seems like just a simple flow brush is the type of brush that lets you have the quickest and the most real control over what you're actually shaping on the canvas. So there's that. These are my thoughts on getting back to work on Outlandish Curiosity. Aside from that, just making sure I look at a lot of references, like I looked at the like jungles and the way the puddles should be looking like, and the thing looked very weird, like such perfect aisles of puddles with, like I remember I was adding like reflectivity on the wet soil as well, but it was obviously not enough. I need to add more of that everywhere. Puddles don't really get so isolated, especially if it's like heavy raining right now. It needs to be like all over the place. So I'm gonna be spreading a lot more of that. I'll be adding a lot more of these bigger stones covered in foliage, like in carpets of green little grass or something, you know, the way it happens a lot. So that should be going on, and I never happened to actually use that, you know? That's the thing with your like visual library, when you're just trying to paint with a flow, I end up with just piles of bushes everywhere, and that's it, you know? In the earlier version, it's actually not here. This is one of the details that I actually added before continuing the work another while ago. I didn't even have these couple of trees right here. So it was just piles of bushes everywhere, and that's it. That's what I'm talking about like not having the visual library. And earlier, before doing another breakthrough with the references and stuff like that, back when I was doing the video about how to paint like a god version 2.0 video. In there, I also used references. That's where I figured out the whole idea of like this flaming orange carpet of the dead foliage, dead branches and whatever in the forest, because that's what the ground in the forest should be looking like, not just the first thing you think about when you try to paint just ground without grass in nature. The first thing that comes out is just, you know, like a little path from Warcraft kind of thing, just dead ground, completely bald. That is gone from my artwork in here for the forests and everything, because that was just stupid. And so much stuff will have that kind of breakthrough if I just make sure that I keep using references and keep just searching for the way things actually look like. So yeah, this is my report for today for returning back to work on Outlandish Curiosity. I really hope I'll just keep working on it pretty much daily. I have to keep working on it. I can't stop anymore. I have to get it done. It has to be done, because dragging it out is just slowly killing it pretty much. It feels like that. So yeah, I need to get that momentum and just never let go of it. I don't know how many episodes I'm gonna be making about Outlandish Curiosity, because I don't wanna make this channel the Outlandish Curiosity channel, because there's a lot of work. Like, these paintings are pretty detailed, and there are so many of them. I only have 2 pages open, but you get the gist. But yeah, after I'll be done with all the pages, I'll have to go through all of them again and kind of like adding the final touches, bringing them all to the same, you know, final look. A little bit of the touch from the current generation of me as an artist, because I changed everything. I changed apps, I changed platforms. Like, I was painting on iPad for so long with different brushes, dry brushes, blending brushes, triangular, sharp brushes. I remember it was all kinds of stuff. Changed all the textures and all the shapes and engines and everything. So yeah, some of the stuff is like pretty different and like really looks different from the other stuff, which in many cases it will really play along. On the pages with the tribe, there was a very scary situation where Gilbert was really afraid for his own safety, I guess, before it all turned out much nicer. Those pages could really use that really sharp, triangular, heavily texturized look. So I'm gonna keep that, but maybe slightly touch it up to a little bit, tone it down, so the whole book would look consistent in some way. But yeah, these are the plans that are kinda distant. Right now I just need to focus on this. And I thank you guys for watching. Tell me what you think about what I said and what you saw, and what you will see after I'm done talking, because I'm gonna keep working on this page, and I really hope that you will see pretty much final or close to final stage of this page in the end of this video. So make sure to check it out, and I thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!